Hello and welcome to Tom Meets Interesting People. This is the podcast where I meet everybody from voice actors to nuclear engineers to talk about their work, their projects, and their processes. And listeners who pay attention, which is no one, might remember that I finished off the last season with Martin Wiskin, who is a voice actor and believes in the power of networking. And today's episode is the personification, the bringing it all together of that. So my guest today is the wonderful Jim Wolfe, who is and I hope he doesn't mind me telling everyone his age. He's a 66-year-old business owner, electronic musician and content creator. And he says that being alive makes him tick, and it's a precious gift, and it's our responsibility to make the most of it. Jim, the warmest welcome to the show. How are we doing?
Hello, Tom. I'm doing fine. Yeah, did you like that bit I put in there? That was all a little bit, meaningful, wasn't it? Really.
I love the meaningful stuff. It's just so much fun because you just jump into it and then put it out there and help people find what they are looking for.
Absolutely.
So let's kick off with your main project. Tell me all about Five Notes Media and tell me all about the music you make for that.
Wicked. Okay, so Five Notes Media, let's call it a side hustle at the moment because I think that's what it is. It came as a result of a sort of a joining together, me and a very close friend of mine, Mark, who is a very good graphic guy, good with websites and stuff like that. He's been doing stuff for my businesses for many years. And I went on to LinkedIn about 2 years ago. I was quite late to the party with social media. And it struck me that there seems to be this revolution in content creation, and it struck me that more and more businesses, particularly, all size businesses, it was social media is starting to become such a powerful medium for business promotion, engagement, all of that stuff. And of course, content is a central point of that. And I've been making music for 25, longer than I want to admit, really. And I've been doing a bit of visual stuff as well. And I just thought it'd be really, really cool at my age in life, maybe to launch a business that actually had my passion at its heart, as opposed to something that is, driven by numbers and balance sheets and all that stuff. So there you go. That was Five Notes Media, and that's what kicked it off, really.
So what made you follow that passion instead of taking kind of the safe option, instead of going for just the safe, normal kind of 9 to 5 that everyone else does?
Well, okay, so it's pretty straight off the bat. It's easy for me because I actually have a successful business, so I don't have to actually make any money out of Five Notes Media if I don't want to. Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that I don't want to, because I like to approach everything I do with a certain amount of seriousness. I like to achieve. I like to make things happen. But my biggest change, I guess, was, my background was corporate. I went up the ladder in sales and stuff like that. And then when I got to my sort of mid-40s or whatever, maybe a bit earlier than that, I was almost like a square peg in a round hole. I no longer fitted the corporate ethos, probably too outspoken, too free-thinking. I always felt that I wanted things done my way. Now, I'm not saying my way is the best way. It really isn't. But it was the way I was, and it was what made me tick. That led me to starting my first business, which was an internet company, which unfortunately didn't work. That then led into Email Mum, which is the business I currently run with my wife, Wendy, which has been very successful. And really, that was the start of, I guess, my self-empowerment and liberation. So when I got to an Email Mum, a successful company, but it's a company that it runs itself. I have a very, very strong team around me, and my personal involvement in Email Mum isn't that great. Now, I guess, and the pandemic triggered this for me. I started to think, you know what? I've got one last push in me here. I've got one last thing. What can I do? But I wanted it to be something that I was going to really enjoy it, and something that I could bring my creativity to, because business, a lot of business. I'm not saying you don't have to be creative in business, of course you do, but a lot of business is about, once you've got a successful business model, it's as much about executing that, keeping it on track, not diverting too much from it and keeping it simple. And for me, as someone with a real creative passion, that same sometimes became very constraining. Yeah, so it just felt natural to me to go into a medium, i.e., content creation, where I could just, I guess, throw caution to the wind and just have a bit of fun.
I think that's really important as well, to kind of enjoy what you're doing and enjoy those passions that you have. I've seen lots of stories of people who are incredibly passionate but burn out after 1 year or 2 years. And it seems like you've got something really sustainable here.
Yeah, yeah, and also, I mean, I know this is a cliche, but life isn't a dress rehearsal, is it?
Yeah.
We get one chance at it, and look, my family are a lot older now. I mean, when I was a young guy, I mean, I always wanted to be in a band, even from when I was a kid. But when I was a youngster with a mortgage and the kids and the career, it was about knuckling down, really, you
Mhm.
know. And I think sometimes, particularly in the early years, you sort of make sacrifices. You follow your head as opposed to your heart. Yeah, and but I think one of the tricks of life is always try and do something a bit different. Come out of your comfort zone. Be brave. Don't don't fall into things like imposter syndrome, and just have a go at it. And
Mhm.
and and I've got to say, Tom, it's energized me. I mean, I've gone back to, I mean, I've always been driven, but I think it's fair to say, leading into pandemic, in terms of actual working life commitment, I mean, I was probably doing about 10 hours a week because my business runs so well. Now I'm back in and I'm right in it. I'm back up to my 12-hour a day, 7 days a week, because I'm a driven man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've got a wife who understands that. But it's lit the spark underneath me, which I think is a really good thing for me.
Yeah, that's I love hearing about that. And before I jump into music as well, I can definitely relate to that imposter syndrome, because I've got, outside of this, I've got my own tutoring business too, and I'm still at the stage where I'm doing those 12-hour days, those 13, 14-hour days, because you do get sucked into it, don't you? You
Yeah,
do
you
you
do.
do deep dive. So, as a question from a young me to a more experienced yourself. That almost sounded like it was going to be an insult.
I
That's
feel
not what
like
I intended.
Yoda. Yeah.
A question from myself that I'm really interested in is, how do you get a business to reach that point where it is running itself and we don't have to do those 12-hour days anymore?
Right. The key to me has always been. I mean, look, I have a business that employs staff, and I think that's the key to it. I think the key is only you can only really free your own time up if you, a, grow your business to the point where you can afford to employ staff, and b, you employ staff. Now, Email Mum is a very successful business, and the reason for that is, at the heart of it is an ethos, and one of the key drivers is empowerment and personal responsibility. So, as anyone that joins Email Mum as a business, we encourage them to take on board personal responsibility. We don't manage in the traditional sense of the word. We coach. We allow our staff to just get on and do their job. And we've flipped it on its head. We don't see us as the bosses that are at the top of it. We see it as the facilitators at the bottom that are supporting our staff and ensuring that they have every tool in place to do their job well, and they feel good and they feel confident and they feel valued. And if you do that and bring that off correctly, what you then find, you get a real benefit. And the benefit is things just start working, and they start working without you. And when you've reached that position, then then your role in the business changes. I mean, my role in the business at the moment, purely, I mean, I watch the numbers. That's about it. Yeah, making sure that the balance sheet stays intact, and then just making sure that that our ethos, and Wendy's the same. Our ethos stays in place, which is just treat everyone with respect and just be good people. Google have got that saying, haven't they? Was it do no evil? Now, I question actually how much they lived that, if I'm honest.
They've dropped it.
But
They've
what I
dropped
will
that
say
slogan
is,
now.
yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, and look, it's easy. It's easy for me. It's not easy for them. They've got shareholders. They've got this. They've got outside forces. But I think at the heart of that, do no evil was something really powerful. Because I think if you come from as a leader with a leadership position, if you understand at the end of the day, your role actually is to serve. And I think that's something that a few of our politicians could start to really buy into. Sorry, I don't want to get too political. But,
Don't worry, we won't dive into
I
politics.
feel strongly about this stuff,
Yeah.
So
No, of course.
so my advice to anybody, okay, look, you've got to get the numbers right first. You've got to understand your business, and you've got to win market share. But then at some point, if you really want to get to the position where you have time for yourself, you have to bring people into your business. You have to understand how to empower, develop, and ultimately trust those people to get on and help you run your business, which then becomes their business because we're all stakeholders, aren't we?
Yeah. And it sounds like, when you put it like that, it sounds really, really simple. And yet I see in the corporate world, and I see this in my other half's job as well, we still have the old thought process of boss at top, you do what boss says.
And you know what? I'm so glad you said that, Tom, because guess what? Actually, it is. The issue is, and the issue I found in corporate, the problem with corporate, there's so much going on under the surface, isn't there? There are people climbing the ladder. There are people worried at their job. You have the performance review, the pips, all of that stuff. Now, I mean, I was managing in a corporate environment, and I'd get this. Oh, you've got to do performance reviews with your staff. You've got to do this. Honestly, mate, I think it's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that to anyone in corporate listening, but I really do. There is nothing that beats, from a leadership perspective, honest conversation.
Yeah.
And also that comes from the leader as well. Too many leaders put themselves first, and they put their career first, and they put the shareholders first, and they put the balance sheets first. A modern, and I believe this will change, I believe in the future, the modern successful company will not just be about stakeholders, shareholders, managers. It will be about everybody that has a stake in that company, including the employees. Yeah. So there you go. And I think that's that. And corporate's corporate.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put this episode together and send it to my my other half's boss.
Oh,
see if we can change anything. I know we could both, as business owners, we could just talk all day, but I also know we're kind of on the clock today, which does suck, because I reckon I could talk to you for like 8 hours.
You have to have me on again.
Yeah, I mean, we totally can if you want to.
Yeah, I love talking.
Totally do a part 2.
I can't shut up. Sorry.
So that's why I got a podcast. So I want to know about your music now, and something, because I'm tone deaf, I can't put together a tune. How on earth does somebody do that? How do you make music?
Right, okay, so first, straight away, right, I'm not a musician in the true sense of the word, yeah? I know music theory, but I can't really play an instrument, yeah? So the thing that empowered me to make music was the good old silicon chip and a computer, because without the electronic music making tools I've got, I would never have made music. I think I've always had an ear, because my parents, when I was a kid, I mean, they would sing to each other all the time. I mean, their harmonies, they're beautiful. My mum and dad's voices were fantastic. I didn't realise that at the time, and I think that put it into me at an early age. And from an early age, I was always attracted to stuff that was a bit left field. I mean, when I was an 8-year-old kid, my favourite record was Beatles' "I'm the Walrus," because it was just weird. And so I've always had that passion in me. And the weird thing was, I was really late getting into actually making music. I'd attempted to learn an instrument. I failed, but I tried. and it was really weird because this actually goes in line with my working life in a lot of respects. I got to a point in my corporate life where I was really, really disillusioned. Now, me being me, I'm a bit of a Walter Mitty character. So one day I came up with this idea: oh, why don't I become a pop star? I mean, it's completely illogical, but it's me all over. Now, this coincided when we were going to my first sort of rave, as it was, yeah. And I'd always loved electronic music, Kraftwerk, Tangerine Dream, Noi, those sort of bands. And I went to this rave, and all of a sudden there was this dance music being made, and it was like nothing I'd ever heard. And I instantly fell in love with it. And it was like, well, how did they do that? So then I discovered the good old computer, a MIDI, and that was it. And off I went. And that was what, 25 years ago. Yeah.
So when you've got like your project open and you're working on a piece, are you a kind of person that can just put something down, or do you wait for that inspiration to strike?
Good question. So, do you know what? I think with me, it's a real mix. It's really hard for me to understand exactly what I do. I mean, sometimes I'll just play around with sounds. You know, I have lots of lots of different bits of software, and some of them got presets, and I even use some AI auto music generating tools, and I use them to generate ideas. So what I'll do is I'll just go in and I'll just start messing about. And then the thing that seems to happen in my head, and I don't know how it happens, is something just sparks something, and then off I go. And then and then before I know it, I've got something down. I mean, the styles that I use. I mean, my personal love in terms of music making is probably down tempo, ambient, and experimental stuff, and that's really what I started putting out there at first. But a lot of the stuff I'm doing at the moment, particularly on social media, I make music for content creators. Now, that can't be too weird because they want stuff that maybe, I don't know, 20, 30-second bursts. I do stuff for audio logos. You know, it can't be odd. It's got to have some, yeah. So I'll tend to come more into, I wouldn't say mainstream, but maybe it is, you know. But so as it's really strange as my journey in social media and also Five Notes Media has played out. So I've started to work more towards various styles. You know, okay, I need to make a piece that's maybe a classical style or something that's maybe a dancey or a poppy style. Yeah, and that's really quite good for me because whereas before I was very freeform, it was right, whatever comes out of my head is what comes out of my head. And then I would craft and shape that. I'd start off with a load of sound, whatever it was, and then just craft it, take bits away, stuff like that. Whereas now, you know, I'll sit down and say, right, I want to make a 20-second clip of audio for an audio logo. And it's a lot more disciplined. I'm a lot more disciplined, which is, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't realize you could make like I always thought it was just one big 3 minute song, or like if you're feeling really, really extravagant, 3.5 minutes. I didn't realize you could specifically make these tiny pieces for like specific bits of content that we consume.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of this is down to the computer and digital audio and what it's done. I mean, if you go back in the day when you had your traditional recording, you know, studios, then the only way you could sort of, I mean, you'd have to tape splice and stuff like that. Whereas now, I mean, I can, and I've done this many a time, I will create a 3 or 4 minute track. But then what I'll do, I'll take snippets of that track out and I'll cut it down. And I may
Yeah.
think to myself, oh, that could work really good in a small animated video, yeah. And I'll take a bit out and I'll just put it in, yeah. And I mean, it was something that I did 6 months ago because I wanted to do something for the LinkedIn community. I put together a free download site. I put about 300 short form audio clips on there, all free to download, all under Creative Commons copyright. So you could just use them. You could just use them. No
Yeah.
restrictions. Now a lot of that came from my library of stuff where I just went into it and right, I'll take that little snippet, and it's a bit like, have you ever done those collages? You know when you do those collages and you take little bits of, I don't know, pictures and
Yeah.
it's a bit like that.
Yeah. It sort of sounds kind of similar to like how I promote my episodes, because I will take little snippets of the interview that I've done, the episode that I've done, put some words over the top, and send it out into the ether to kind of hope for the best. So in many ways, we're kind of doing, there's more similarities in our processes than there are differences, even though we're in two different mediums.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, one of the wonderful things about making music in this day and age, I mean, making music it's changed. It changed beyond all recognition to how it was. But one of the lovely things about it is the tools that we have, and what you can do with the tools, and they're just getting more and more powerful. They are just getting more and more powerful, So yeah, long may it continue. I mean, where it will, where I'll end up with it, I don't know. I mean, well, I sort of do. I mean, funny enough, you mentioned Martin earlier. I'm working on a project with Martin at the moment, and I'm doing some dark side trance because, as you know, he's a brilliant voiceover artist, and he's done these really brilliant voices. I'm building a set around that. The idea being, I'm going to go and do TikTok lives with it, which will mean that I'll actually be performing again. First time. Last time I performed was in some dodgy club, some dodgy techno club. That was about 25 years ago. So now I'll be performing again, only it'll be via streaming. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to deep dive into that with you. And when you get round to making that project, let me know, because I'd love to chat to the both of you about that. But I also am aware that we are somewhat against the clock, because time is the eternal enemy of us all.
Oh, bless you, man.
So before we go to our questionnaire that we end every episode with, where can people find you online?
Okay, so my website is 5 Notes Media, www.5notesmedia. It's still under construction. We're playing around with it, but you can find the free music on there. You'll have to dive around for it. That's there, free to download. I'm on TikTok under Scared Cat Music. Scared Cat Music is my record label, so you can find me at Scared Cat Music. I'm on LinkedIn. I haven't got a clue what my LinkedIn, but if you just search for Jim Wolfe, you'll find me, and that's about it really. I'm not really a Twitter guy. I don't like Twitter, and I don't really do Facebook or any other. So it's really LinkedIn, TikTok, my website. And my SoundCloud. If you want to listen to some dark down tempo, you could go onto SoundCloud, and under there I'm under the name Fisher Green. That's Fischer, Fisher Green. That's one of my aliases. I've got quite a few aliases that I make music under. A quick story, Fisher Green. Why is it Fisher Green? That's where I lived when I was a kid. And when Portishead came out, they called their band Portishead because they all came from Bristol. So I thought, I want to do the same thing. So I called myself Fisher Green. So seems a hip thing to do.
Yeah, and I'd say avoid Twitter, because Twitter is becoming a bit of a cesspit.
Oh, I've never liked it.
With Elon's takeover.
I never liked it.
Yeah, but I'll put all of the links in the show notes below.
Oh, bless you, man.
And let us round off with our questionnaire. These come from the Proust Questionnaire, which were then adapted by Bernard Pivot and later by James Lipton. And now I present my Scared Cat adaptation to you. You're probably going to end up just being like, right, I'm going to copyright that now. I'm hearing from your lawyers. What is your favourite word?
Green.
What is your least favourite word?
No.
Did that green come from your stage name that you put your SoundCloud stuff under?
It's my favourite colour, and it's the only thing I could think of when you put me on the spot.
I was just shooting for something really deep there, and I thought, oh, this will be a nice path to go.
No, sorry.
All right, question 3. What engages you?
Right, 2 things. One thing is rejection. If I'm told I can't do something, I double down and work twice as hard to do it. And the second, I think, is just creating, just passionate creation. Yeah.
Yeah. What disengages you?
Oh, negativity and Pete. Don't know. It's that attitude and negativity that you hit sometimes.
Yeah.
Flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Being critical. I hate people that are just critical and nothing else. There's other things you can offer to this world other than criticism.
Mm-hmm. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound of noise do I love?
Yeah,
Oh,
what sound of
I
noise?
love the TB303, the acid machine. When you crank the resonance right up and you throw it through a really good delay and distortion, that's the sound.
What is that? TB303? What is
Yeah,
it?
it's the Roland machine, and Acid House. It was the machine that was at the heart of Acid House. Those squelchy sound. I've got a really, really good clone. You can't get hold. We can get hold, but you have to pay thousands and thousands for them.
Yeah,
I've got a clone which is really good, which I use for the live stuff. Yeah, they're great, and you use those with a 909 for the kick, and off you go. Just
nice,
those two pieces of kit, you can make pretty decent music if you know what you're doing.
nice. What sound or noise do you hate?
What sound of noise do I hate? Yeah, Spandau Ballet. True.
I love that song.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people do. I hate it. Sorry. It's just like, do you know what? Every time I hear it, I just think it's like a stockbroker trying to be a pop star. You know what I mean? Hey? Sorry. Sorry, Spandau fans. That's killed my audience.
What is this? Everyone's favorite question. What is your favorite curse word?
Bollocks.
Yeah.
Only because my missus says it all the time.
Yeah. Is it when she's angry with you and it's like you've done something else?
And also it's inoffensive and it's a bit funny, really, isn't it? When you go, bollocks, you know, you can do all sorts of things with it, can't you?
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, filmmaker.
Yeah.
With director, without a shadow of a doubt. Or actor. I could quite like to be an actor.
What profession would you not like to do?
Prime Minister. Or a politician. Full stop. I don't, you know, I'm not a great lover, but I've got to say I do not envy them at all.
Final question. If you could say only one statement to any one person, what would that statement be? And who would that person be?
Believe in yourself. Anybody that is not pushing themselves because they don't think they can do something. Yeah? Because they're trapped in a comfort zone that's far too narrow.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself. Take some chances. You'll be surprised.
Yeah. Jim, thank you so much for that. Can you just remind us where can we find you online?
Oh, right. Find you online. LinkedIn. You can find me on my LinkedIn page. Don't know the address. My TikTok account at Scared Cat Music. Website is www.5notesmedia or my business site is www.emailmum.com. That's probably about it. I don't really go anywhere else online at the moment.
Yeah, fair dues. And don't forget to also follow this show on our social medias too. We're on TikTok at Meets Interesting People, Instagram Tom_meet_interesting_people. I need to change that because I can't say underscore every time. Twitter at Tom Meets People, if that site is still up. At this moment, Elon is doing something over there. I don't know what he's doing. But the best places to get hold of me is on GoodPods, where we are currently in the top 100 indie documentary chart, and we want to climb even higher. And you can also subscribe to our Substack, which is where I'll be posting my reflections on every single episode and highlighting what I've learned, and also just talking rubbish, which is what I do anyway. And you'll find that at tommeetsinterestingpeople.substack.com. Jim, thank you so much for your time. I know we're in a bit of a rush, but I would love to do this again with you if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm up for it, mate. I'm up for it. I'm just sorry. I sort of double booked myself without realising.
No worries, no worries. All right, everybody, have a great day, and I shall see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.